issue with simulcasting still.
Oh, can I be heard?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, sweet. Hi. This is fab. So dramatic.
And we are live on not Facebook, but on YouTube right now. Alrighty. I'm gonna put the Waitbot. I'm gonna thank you, Mr. Waitbot. You're done now.
I don't know about you, but I really felt like I was having a dramatic moment there. Like, I'm not sure what it was, but it was quite dramatic.
Yeah, it was very dramatic. You know, it's funny. I can still hear it because I have the YouTube on. I'm like, wait, I can still hear him. He's there.
I was wondering why I could hear myself.
I'm like, why can I hear him? Okay, let me just get the Facebook. If you're on,
let me see if can I add my video.
Watching, hello to you. We are just. It's the pre-show. It's the pre-show.
This is the pre-show. You get to join us while we're doing our clicking and our moving and our sharing and all of those fun things.
One day we'll have a producer who will do that for us while we.
Oh my God, I was about to say the same thing. I was like, you know what? Maybe I think I'm going to ask Carolyn if she's going to do this for us next time.
That would be amazing.
Yep, I'll ask Carolyn. Carolyn, are you here? If you're not here, then I'll message you later. Okay, sweet. I'm just waiting for it to show up on the Facebook. I love this picture of you. Makes me so happy.
I called it the Rox Minessa Show. How do you feel about that?
I think I might go with Ness, Rox and Ness.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that after. I'm down with. Yeah, okay.
I haven't only a couple people are calling Ness, but it always makes me smile, and so maybe I should start going by Ness, especially since I've been reborn recently. Ooh, here we go. You just shared the link.
I just shared it. Let me
share
over here.
And I'm going to share this, paste in that, and swapping spouses.
There you go again. There you go.
Seriously, look, I cannot tell you how much I love talking about sex. Like, if I can swing the conversation to sex at any point in time, I will.
Now you tell me.
But it's like my favorite thing. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to come up on stage. How do I come up on stage?
You're on stage. There we go. I'm just putting your video on. Hello, everyone. It is officially 10 a.m. Pacific time and like 1 something, I don't know, in the world of the East Coast. My name is Rox.
God's time zone?
No, that is not right. Oh, my gosh. It's good to see everyone. I'm Roxanne Wilson.
I'm Minessa Show.
There we go.
Sorry, I forgot who I was. I don't know who I am.
Where'd she go? And we changed the name of the show, and it's ever evolving. So if you've been with us prior, we told you it's coming together. We're bringing it all together. But we're happy to be here with you. I call it a water cooler moment. Like, you know, that people don't even know what water coolers are anymore. But back in my day, we would go to at work. You'd be by the water cooler or by the coffee machine. You'd be like, talk about, did you hear about this and that and that? And we don't have that anymore, but we do have it here. And so this is an opportunity for Minessa and I to engage, interact with you all, and just talk about what's been going on over the last week.
And we have some fun stuff. Oh my gosh, before in the green room we were talking.
Jeez.
Like, so what are we talking about? And like, as we started talking, we're like, stop, you have to stop. We can't talk
now.
I'm
like, hold it, save it. I don't want to know your opinion. So I think let's go ahead and start with something that has actually happened this past week, which of course the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp saga has officially, we think, come to an end.
I don't think that saga is ever going to come to an end, unfortunately. I feel like, honestly, I have so many opinions about this. Like, I couldn't even watch the trial because Amber Heard has given me the icky feelings since I don't even remember what I saw her in years and years ago. But I saw her and I was like, oh man, there's something about, I didn't know what it was. And then Johnny Depp got with her and I was like, dude, you are going to regret this. I knew it then. I'm like, dude, but Johnny didn't listen to me. I sent him texts.
Did you actually tell him? Did you actually tell him, or did you just try and tell him?
I just tried to beam it. I tried to beam it to him. He wasn't listening. But yeah, and so I feel like this was a really sad. The whole thing is sad because I feel like this set everybody back. It set men back. It set women back. It set the whole conversation back. And I really do feel like this is like a situation of 2 toxic people together, and she is just. I feel like when I look at her, she freaks me out. So I feel like my whole thing with this is I just want this whole thing to go away, but I have a feeling she's going to just keep it going and keep it going and keep it going.
I think so. I didn't watch the trial just because I didn't. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need all this. Hold on. I'm going to make sure that I am do not disturb before. So I didn't watch the trial, but I heard about it. How could you not hear about it as all things were going on? And I was interested to see where the jury was going to take it. She lost, which, yeah, women's lib people are saying this is so bad for the Me Too movement and all the things. But I'm with you. I think I would, okay, you said we all lose, and I'm going to challenge that and say maybe we all can be better from this situation. Because maybe we had to see this happen to go, okay, let's fine tune the messaging. Let's make sense of all these things. I don't know. I just, I don't know. It, two
No,
wild people, you know?
no. I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. My husband actually said that to me this morning. I tend to always go into like this doomsday scenario. You're absolutely right. Like, what can, like, okay, we all accept that it set us back and it's terrible and all that happened, but like, okay, now that's done. It's in the past. Like, what can we learn from this? And like, how can we do better moving forward rather
Yeah, because
than,
I think on Johnny's side, on Crybaby's side, that's how I remember him, or
oh my
21
God, don't,
Jump Street. um, on his side, like clearly he just wanted his name to be cleared. I get that, right? But and whether you think it's cleared or not is here or there. But it was bold for him to come forward and tell the stories that he told because essentially he's making it clear, like men, even men you think are like the toughest men, like Captain Jack Sparrow, can be abused.
do you remember David Coverdale, Whitesnake? Here I
Oh
go
yeah,
again.
here I
Yeah.
go again.
So
And Tawny Katan.
Tawny Katan, she abused him. And do you remember
I
when he
know.
came out, people made so much fun of him? Like
So
he
much
was
fun.
mocked. It was, when I look back, I'm just crushed for him because like he had the bravery to come forward as a man in a metal band, in a hair band,
Yeah.
saying that he was being abused by his wife. And that's like some serious shit. And I feel like, you know, having Amber Heard come out and make that statement, you know, that she did, it's like, I think she felt like the Me Too movement and everybody would just rally around her just because she said it happened. So I actually feel like the good thing that came out of it is I think that the one thing is that, you know, is that I don't think you can just say it and have it like be true, but at the same time, that sucks because you can't just say it and have it be accepted as true. Like,
It does suck. It's like everyone just be honest, and then this will make this whole thing a lot
that's
easier.
exactly the point. Can we just go with general? Oh, you know what? The Karat Malat, radical honesty. They're in Star Trek. They just go for radical honesty all the
There you
time.
go.
Let's do that.
Just actually be honest. All right, let's move from there because I thought about something else I want to talk about that we didn't even mention, but we will in a second. Let's dive in. Okay, so I this week I binged finally. I now have HBO Max, so I'm awakened and I watched and just like that. The homage to the 15 years, 12 years later, what are our favorite people from Sex and the City up to, right? What are the four ladies up to? And what I noticed about it, I'm not going to go into like, oh, this happened, this person died. What I really thought was interesting was they made a big effort to, if you look back on Sex and the City, you realize Sex and the City was very white. Let's call it what it was. It's very white, like very white.
Very, very
I love
white.
Sex and the City. I have all the DVDs. Let me just like disclaim that. So when I love Sex and the City, but it was very white. And something they made an effort of doing was to sprinkle some seasoning into it. So they have new characters. They have two black characters who are completely different, like different in lifestyle. They have an Asian American, so Indian, a woman as well too, and they also have a non-binary, and they have a daughter who is realizing that she is non-binary. So they're hitting the boxes in all these ways. There's a relationship between non-binary person and one of the heroines, all the things. And I was watching this going, wow, like I can handle this. But I thought to myself, I'm gonna bet there are some people clutching their pearls, going, whoa, this is a lot of what they would probably say woke. Like too much woke for
Too
them.
woke, too much woke, too much wokeness.
Too much woke for them. I just thought, huh. And I was listening to the director or the writers did a podcast. They do a podcast about every episode. Those of you who are clutching your pearls, these are my words. That's because you were thinking about it was in syndication, which let's not forget as well. When they put it in syndication, they took out a lot of the sex scenes. The nudity came out, all those things, and it's still in syndication. And in syndication, it's oh, that's so cute. He's like, but when it first came out, we were totally like they're like he mentioned like semen was like slapped on Miranda's face. Like there are all these things that happen. Do you remember that? I remember that the tantric sex one. That is one of the best. And she's like, what? What? And then yeah, there's all these things that happen that we forget about that were very cutting edge. But I understand, I hear him, but I think, there's this thing about it can a show do too much? They had 10 episodes and they popped in all of those things. Is that like a water hose coming to someone's face? Like, is that too much of, hey, America, this is what America's like. This is what the world's like. What do you think?
I was actually, my husband and I have actually been having this conversation for a while because, we watched Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, which I love, but and I adored it. And I said that I loved specifically. And one of the things that he said was they get everybody, they check all the boxes. And I loved it. It's actually one of my favorites because of how I mean, I guess woke it is, how empathic it is. It's very empathetic, and I very much like that. But I felt like it was a little heavy-handed with the making sure that there was diversity everywhere and making sure that like the stories were told. Even though the stories were good, they were heavy-handed. But like you watch Our Flag Means Death, and like there's just everybody's there, but like you don't even ever like it's just so normal. You don't even think about it. There's no I'm curious, like, do you know what makes a show like? Because some shows do it without like making it feel like they've checked the boxes, like that somebody was sitting there going, "Oh," and then some shows are like they're really like, "Oh, it's just like it feels really normal as a person of color to see it," and you're like, "Oh yeah, okay, that's totally normal." Like, do you know what that is? I don't.
Uh, yeah. How do you balance in this society, like making sure you check all the boxes? Did we represent everyone? But also there's that stigma of like, oh, like there's the token black person in the show. Like there's always they even made a joke about that, like in Not Another Scary Movie or one of those things, like, oh, I'm the token black person in all these movies. And so it's kind of like, how do you make it balanced and real? Here's the reality of it. I think this is why it feels off because I believe that most people do not have most people, let me rephrase that. Most people have a homogenized life. Most people, their friends and their family and their friends look like them.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if they have that desire to like be conscious and be open, they are not surrounded by that. I know like when everything happened with the murder of George Floyd, I had a lot of friends that reach out to me and they're like, I realized I've never asked you this question or that question. Or I realized some of them said, you're my only black friend. And so I think that is partially why the token black person makes sense to a lot of people,
Yeah,
right?
right. Well, I guess it's because things become cliche for a reason. If everybody
Yes.
has a token black friend, that's what you joke about. But
Right.
I think your point is like, so I was talking to my therapist about this and how I feel like, I didn't realize this happened, but like I'm half Pakistani, but yet my whole world is very white.
Mhm.
And I said to her, I said, I didn't realize how white it had become until I looked around. And it's not that there's anything wrong with any of the white people that I know. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But I realized I'd lost a connection to a different part of myself that exists and it was important to me. And I realized that the way that the world is kind of structured, you do tend to just go in the direction that you're going in. And in order for you to like actually go somewhere else, you have to be intentional about it. And so about
Yes.
2 years after the murder of George Floyd, that's when I started to realize how white my circle was because I realized, and so now it's really interesting because it looks nothing like it did before, like completely different. Like, but I said to my therapist, I said, just with a little bit of an intentional work, like not that much, you can open up a floodgate. And I think what really is needed is almost like a bridge, like maybe it's the bridge because in order for us to have the episodes of shows that feel casual, somebody has to be intentional about it at first, and it feels
Yes.
weird to get that.
Yes.
So I guess Sex and the City really took one for the team, I think, and so did Discovery, and that like you've got to have those shows
You
to
do.
have the other ones.
You do. And you also I think they did. And I agree with you. Let me just before I say this, let me say I hear you when you say it's not that hard, but I do think as adults it is very hard. It's hard to make friends in general as adults. When I moved from Texas to California, I'm like, where are the people? And I work from home. So like it's not like I had a group of people at work who were trying to make sure that I was acclimated to this new place. And so I think that it's so easy when you're either in college, you're all hanging out the dorm
Yep,
or at
yep.
school. When you are young, like we just graduated, 'cause, like all these people are young and they're like, I'm single, ready to mingle, right? And it's easy even when you have kids that are doing things because then you can meet people
Hmm.
through them. But if you don't have that, it is hard as Hades. So I just think to myself, now imagine everyone's having that issue, right? Where they're like, okay, I want to make sure that I have a more diverse lifestyle. I want my family, my kids to see that. And they look around like, I don't, where is that? Where do I go for that? So I do think I love that you found it to be easy, but I think it is a little harder than it seems. And I agree with you. And to bet to what you said, the last thing you said is I totally agree with you. Um, they did take one for the team. And as we're talking about this, I realize to see Sex and City 12 years later and just like that, and to see them change as times change, and to see your beloved like Charlotte actually be in the role. You already love her. She has credibility in your life, and you're seeing how she and Harry handle the fact that Rose now wants to be Rock. Um,
Hmm.
that I think is helpful for people because it's probably more helpful than watching a brand new show where that's happening because they already know her. They grew up
Yep,
with Charlotte. They saw her
it's
marry
true.
and become a McDougal, and now she's a Blatt. Blatt is that like we know her, and so to see how she handles it probably goes a lot further than seeing some new show where you've got that going on.
Dude, that is so true. I never thought about that connection where it's like it's almost like you're seeing someone from your childhood go through that. But I also think, what's interesting is that most people don't have a model for those kinds of conversations, and I think that's really the problem is that there's no model, to be like, okay,
Yeah.
how do you deal with this? And nobody really knows how to have them. And I think so. You're absolutely right that those kinds of watching someone that you already care about, creating that level of empathy there is way easier. Because are you even going to start watching a show called Sex in the Town? Like maybe you might not even care about that person.
Well, but how about this? Someone who's not used to that is not going to watch a show called like the non-binary show. They're not going to watch that show,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
They're like, I don't. They're just not going to watch it. So it's good, I think, to splice it into things they're already comfortable with. If anyone is looking for a great real life role model, in my opinion, I don't have kids. If I did, they could do whatever they want. I mean, like not ever they want. They can't murder. You get me, anyhow. But Mally Roncal, have you ever heard of her? I
Mm-mm.
love her. She's was a makeup artist for like Beyonce, then ended up doing her own line, Mally. Then went on to she's got a whole line. It's on QVC and all the things. But she and her husband, they have I think it's Instagram called Positivity Preacher, or if you just go to Mally Ron Cal. But her second daughter, I want to say, came is a lesbian and came out, and it was so funny because I was just watching a video of them today, they were talking about Pride Week. So it's she and her daughter, and they were like, let's remember our favorite like moments, Pride moments. And so they talked about when she first came out, and she's like, yeah, I came to the dinner table, everyone's there, and I'm like, hey everyone, I'm gay, and they're like, yeah, we know. Can you pass the casserole? Which was so funny. And she's like, I realized we took away her moment. We took away her like her flowers, but they all knew. And they all knew. And she's like, I swear to you, when I pulled her out and I was holding her, I said, yep, this is the gay one. And she knew from the moment, like she's 3 pounds. I'm like, Mallory, you're hilarious. And then her sister at some point, they were talking about dating when they get older, and she turned to her sister and said, I'm sure whoever she is, she'll be lovely. This is before she came out. So they all knew. But I think it's great to see for anyone who's like, I don't know how to deal with this, I think
Yep.
it's good to see real life examples of it. If not, watch a TV show but it's good to just I think it takes it a little further. Like those very special episodes when we grew up were for a reason, like a very special
A very
episode
special
of.
episode. Well, I want to actually throw something in there because, when you were saying earlier, I said it's not that hard. It actually is very hard, as you said. So, but what I mean is, in retrospect, when I look back, and I actually wanted to offer this to anyone listening, because is that what I did was a very small thing. Is that I simply made an intention to go find creators of color who were doing things that I
Oh,
liked. Right. So right now I find that the algorithm is putting me all towards white spaces because that just happens to be, or like back then, because that just happened to be the way everything flowed. if I take a few minutes and intentionally say, okay, I'm now going to go and look for a Black creator. So what happened, and this is so interesting how this happened. I just asked a few people and just said, listen, I want somebody like when I found a spiritual coach and when I found, a sex coach, and I just said, can you send me someone of color doing the same thing? I want to see, just because it's like, I just want to find someone who I can connect with in a different way. And let's see which one, not like I'm trying to do one, like pick one or the other, but I want to see both and see which one I connect with more. And just, it's about making an intentional act to bring people of color into your choice making. And that's really all it is. And once you've brought people of color into your choice making, by asking my friends, over time, people just started giving me things. And after you follow like 4 or 5 of them, then it cascades, because then you find somebody else who finds somebody else who finds somebody else. And then it became easy. So the first step is really just being intentional about anytime you're making any decision, just make sure that you are looking for a person of color or somebody who is LGBTQ, whatever it is for you that you are like, I want to expand in this space. I want to grow myself in this space. You pick whatever it is for you. Just look for that person. And that was very helpful.
So you use social media to help you. So you use the gram for good.
That is exactly how I use Instagram. In fact, I only use Instagram for that. And I actually think of Instagram as only good because I only see the good. I never see the evil.
Same. That's funny you say that, because, a lot of people were like, I'm done with Facebook. But they were done with Facebook because they didn't like the views they were seeing from their friends on Facebook. And I'm like, that's really interesting, because my Facebook algorithm understands me. And understands that if they want to keep me on the platform, I don't want to see the political bullshit. So literally, like, everyone was like freaking out about that over the last few years. I'm like, I don't see it. You know why I don't see it? Because when I do see it, I don't comment on it.
Right.
I don't anything. And so it never shows up.
Exactly. I usually never see it.
Yeah. And I've made it clear on my page too. Hey, y'all, this is not a page. I don't want to hear about your politics. So people know they don't put it on my page, because they will have to leave. But it's funny. You can teach. The algorithm does not control you. You control the algorithm.
Yes.
You mentioned sex. So I think that is a beautiful segue. I don't even know. Did I find this initially?
You said something to me about something. We were talking about something in the news, and you said, did you hear about the Mormon wife swapping scandal? And I'm like, I had no idea what you were talking about.
I don't even know where I found it. Are they network market? I don't know. Anyhow, I heard about it, and I opened a Pandora's box because I just told you about some
you made the mistake of telling me about something.
I made the mistake, and you've done, because you are a sex expert on the show, and so you have done some homework. What is going on with this whole
Okay, so so this is very exciting for all the swinging couples. Now, I went on Google. This is my Google. This is expert Google. This is when she said I'm an expert, she means I Googled it. Let's be really clear here.
That is what I mean. Yes.
And so here's what it is. So basically, apparently, and this is very common, is that when people are getting interested in the idea of swinging, they will often not be comfortable with anything that requires penetration. And so when they go into these parties...
I'm sorry, hold on. We need a disclaimer. If you have kids in the room, you should probably take them out. Because she just went right in there. All right, carry on. All right. I needed alcohol. Where's my alcohol? Next time I'm bringing my alcohol.
Should I be using euphemisms?
No.
When the hot dog goes in the bun. No.
I love that your husband heard that. That was the whoa, right? That was the whoa.
That was
By the way, y'all watching, you can react to this any way you like by hitting those little react buttons. So if you've got something to say or just an emoji to give, go for it. I'm going to look for the shocked one. Keep going. I love that you heard that.
You know what? I was looking for the shock. I was looking for the gasp one earlier and I couldn't find it. So if you find it, let me know. So anyway, okay. So if you don't want to have any penetration of any kind, then
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Call it soft swapping, right? So basically it means we'll swap spouses, but we'll do everything up until that point. And it's basically a shorthand, so everybody knows. Okay, and then the hard swapping is when you're willing to do all the things. And so usually what will happen is you'll start out with soft swapping and then move your way up into, get more comfortable.
It's the gateway drug, basically what you're saying.
Basically, that's what it is.
It's the marijuana of drugs, allegedly, yes.
Oh, marijuana. Yes. In the 80s, don't do it. Dude, if marijuana is a gateway drug,
gateway. Next thing you know, a lot of people are in trouble if it's gateway. Snoop is in real trouble. Keep going.
Oh my God, Snoop. I love that man. So hot. Okay, anyway, sorry. I need a moment.
Is he though?
You're not giving me a face, are you? Oh my God, really?
He's so hot. Is he?
Dude. Oh, yes.
Those of you
Oh my
watching, do you
God.
guys think Snoop Dogg is
Oh my
hot?
God. I have a thing about him and Snoop, him and Ludacris. Like both of them. I don't know why. They just,
Luda looks different than Snoop Dogg, and he's
no,
like
but they both
two
activate the
feet
same thing
shorter.
within me. I just love
Is
them.
it the
But
chocolate? Is it the chocolate button? What's going on with you?
no, it's not the chocolate button.
All right, carry on.
Those
Sorry.
they just target the exact same thing for me. In that I don't listen to their music. I don't like it's just I don't know what it is
Okay,
about them
let's
that
swap.
it's
We'll swap. We'll go to
we'll
that later,
swap.
but
Okay.
let's
So
swap.
let's go with the wife swapping. Sorry, I just got stuck on that. Okay. So anyway, so but the conversation that's happening right now is among swingers and things like that is the that they think that they want to change the conversation, going back to what you were saying last time, which is like, isn't that just playing the game where you're just like, okay, let's just get so close up until the end, like what
Yeah.
is that really like?
It's
And
nothing
that's
but the
really
tip, and then the tip
it,
goes in.
just the
Come
tip.
on,
Exactly. Wow,
I
look
yeah.
at you.
Listen,
Oh.
one day I'll tell you my sexcapades, but I know all about any. Just the tip, just the tip. Yeah, okay, that
Yeah.
works.
And so yeah, so anyway, so they want to change that conversation to be more about like giving it something different, like having it
Well,
have
what's the
different variants, but they
scandal
don't.
going on with it?
Oh, I didn't learn about the scandal. I don't care about that. I just learned about soft swapping.
Ugh. Manissa Lee Konecki. I'm making up a middle name for you.
That was my
Marie.
mother's middle name. Holy
Oh, there you
shit.
go. I'm really good at this. Your job was to tell us what's going on with this scandal. It's like a murder scandal or something, and you just
Oh no, okay. So basically, I know what happened in that part. Okay, so basically, that whole story, which is
yeah.
so sounds interesting, is basically that they were. Okay, I don't really know that story. I lied.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get back to another. But I do think, like, listen, I think I've watched enough TV shows and movies where they're like, yeah, sure. Like, what was Indecent Proposal? It never works,
It
y'all. I
never
just
works.
don't think it works.
None of these things ever work. It just do the thing. Just we're gonna do it. Do the thing.
Well, I also think that like if you feel it's like friends with benefits. Does friends with benefits really work?
No, because I think eventually someone or the other always ends up getting. You know what? Here's the thing. I think the term is the problem. I think the term is the problem because friends with benefits, it's just like it doesn't really articulate the arrangement and the relationship. And I think you can have a very intimate relationship with someone that doesn't involve feelings. But I think that the contract, you need two very self-aware people who understand the nature of the relationship and the contract that they're going to be entering into. You can't have anybody getting into that relationship with the expectation like that, okay, we're friends with benefits, and then like but I'm hoping that you're going to fall in love with me, or I'm hoping something's going to happen
100%.
or something like that. So I think, and the level of self-awareness is important, because otherwise you don't know yourself well enough to know if you are prone to falling in love in a certain way. I mean, you obviously can't
100%.
predict, but
Right.
that's my thought on that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's dangerous, right? So if you I don't I try not to judge people. So if you are a soft swapper or a swapper or a swinger of any kind, I would just say good luck, because at some point what happens if you swing and you find one you like more than one you have to sleep with on the regular basis? That's where it can get a little hairy, I would think. Don't you think?
See, I think that it really becomes then like again, it goes back to the conversation. You have to, you know,
If you can't be with
the
one you want, swing with the one you're with. But I'm just saying that that could like, what if you're like, wait a moment, that's my Adonis. I want to be with
I want
that
to be
one.
that person. I think that could happen, absolutely. But I think that's the nature of the contract, right? Because like as I'm thinking about it, when you're having the contract, so like when you're having this conversation, it becomes we're gonna. So I read this great article on Huffington Post about this woman who, during the pandemic, her and her ex-boyfriend, they had been broken up for years, and then they got back together for a specified period of time. It
Mhm.
was 2 years. They dated each other, their kids were together and everything, and at the end of it they just broke up. They all knew that it was, and everything worked out fine. And I was like, you know what, that, and I think it really, and I know a lot of people who are in non-traditional relationships who are very clear with their boundaries, and like,
Mhm.
and I think the problem is that we all were raised with not a lot of understanding of how to have healthy relationships and how to talk about
Oh,
relationships and how to like actually talk about what we want. Like, so my
fair.
intimacy coach, Miss L, asked me, and I'm like super, I mean, you obviously know how I'm about sex and relationships and like things like that. So Miss L, I have been having coaching with her. She's anyone want an intimacy coach? Miss L is your girl. I'm just telling you. And she asked me, what do you want? She asked me for 5 sessions. The The first session she asked me, I just never answered her. I just was, and she goes, "Why can't you tell me what you want?" And I just burst into tears. I had no idea what I wanted because I'm all open, I'm all sexual, I'm all that. But at the same time, I was never taught or given permission to go inside and really figure that out. And so I think if I don't know that, how can I have an honest conversation and be in an honest relationship with someone else where I'm saying, these are my needs, these are my wants?
Yeah, that's huge. Um, you say that, I'm thinking, well, this all goes back to like our childhood. Why does which I think is so appropriate because did you read the fortune cookie? Those of you who are watching inside the studio, there's a fortune cookie, and I usually change it because it's random as all get up, but today's is really good. Let me read it. It says, if you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. If you're at peace, you're living in the present. And a wise person said recently that we spend most of our time living in the past. Like
Yep.
literally like it's like 80% or some crazy amount of time living in our past. And I just think that's really poignant what you said. Like our relationships now are an indication of how we learned to have relationships or didn't learn to have relationships in the past.
Absolutely. That's why this last year has been like so tough for me, is because I realized like I wanted my inner voices, my new mantra has been be here, be now. Be here, be now. Like anytime I find myself getting anywhere, it's be here, anxious, depressed, it's just be here, be now. Because like you said, you can't be depressed in that space, like as long as you're here now. But it's really hard because you have to unlearn. And unlearning is like soul crushing.
Yeah.
But on the other side, dude, it's amazing.
It's so good.
It's
So
so
even
good.
and the process has its highs and lows as well too, which gets you through it in a big way.
It really does.
Um,
I feel like initially it was tough, but the dopamine kept me going. And then you just kind of fall in love with the process. So even though it's soul crushing, like at the same time, it's soul building, because like the phoenix has to become the ashes before it can grow
yeah.
out into whatever new thing it is you're going to create. Because really, you're
Yeah.
rebuilding yourself in the image that you have.
Right. In the now, and you're letting go, and you truly are letting go of the past.
Yes.
Or maybe you're not letting, you're coming to terms with the past. You're understanding it. It's almost like you're looking at it and going, I see you. I see that
Yeah.
happened to you. I'm perhaps sorry that happened to you. And you're okay. It's almost like you're telling your past self, you're okay.
You're safe.
And then you're safe. You're okay. And now
Yes.
you can do all the things in the future. We went on a wild ride. I do want to talk about one other thing before we go.
What is it?
Well, there's something that came out this week. Dun 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 dun. You don't know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
Highway to the danger zone.
Danger zone. Oh God, no! You know why I don't know it? Because I will never watch a Tom Cruise movie. I hate them. I cannot stand that man.
Oh my gosh, we have to have a conversation. I didn't know that. Okay, so listen.
Next week we'll talk about it.
We'll have to talk about. Will I be here next week? I don't want to be here next week.
Oh no, I got to get a guest for next week. Shit, who wants to be a guest for next week?
I don't think I'll be here next week. We got to talk about that.
Yes, totally.
We will talk about Top Gun and Maverick and all the things. Okay. I guess it's time for us to go, though. You guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Does anyone have anything you want to say? We want to give you an opportunity.
I know. Let's
if
see
you
who we've got here. Cindy and Julie and Kira. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to have you in the studio. And to those of you watching on YouTube, good to see you as well, too. Thanks for watching. Do y'all have anything? Or you guys are being very quiet. If you click on the react button, just in case you're like, I do, you can pick a reaction or you can.
I'm going to react. I'm going to do the robot.
Okay. What does robot sound like?
I don't know. Nothing, apparently. That was quite that's really anticlimactic. That's like, yeah, okay, that was way, way better. Okay, I'm going to do something better than that. I'm going to do, there we go. Let's see if that does something.
Looks like no one has anything to say.
All righty. Well, I just keep picking emojis that do nothing.
You have the muted emojis. Well, you guys, we love chatting with you. We'll be back next week. I know I won't be here, but Minessa will be here with a special guest. So do not miss it. 10 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday and or 1 p.m. in God's time zone, apparently.
It is God's time zone is Eastern. I know you're not. I have enlightened everyone now.
So enlightened.
Somebody said that about a time zone once, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. That's what I'm going to call my time zone from now on.
Definitely Pacific time. Hey, Cindy,
Cindy,
thank
nice.
you.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Clap for you too.
All right,
Finish
you
this.
guys,
Hold
we'll
on. I'm
see
gonna
you
turn it. All right.
later. Oh, wait, I got to bring
There,
out the
I
weight
did it.
bots. You're good.
Yeah, bring out the weight bot. Okay, there we go.
Boom.
There, I did it.
What is
I
he
wonder
gonna
what our
play?
weight bot's gonna be singing this time. Epic music. Very 80s.
Come on now.
I feel like this is fresh.
Oh,
Yeah, oh yeah, we're
it's
grooving.
very like
This is, I
80s,
feel
totally.
like it is so 80s.